in response to the Halo stuff, this just dropped. Of course, this is in response to the announcement of the Halo remake that they're doing, just of the campaign. But apparently, original Halo dev has harsh words about gameplay changes in Campaign Evolved. I did not hear about this. Let's see.
What's up, everybody? Damon here, and in today's gaming news, not everyone is loving the changes introduced in Halo Campaign Evolved. The next Xbox will reportedly play PlayStation games, and Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire is still on the table. This is your Daily Fix. Microsoft has finally unveiled Halo Campaign Evolved, a remake of the campaign portion of Bungie's beloved Combat Evolved. Halo fans have spent most of the weekend debating the changes Halo Studios has made for this upcoming 2026 shooter, from the addition of sprints to the more pristine art style.
And don't forget about the stutters that are going to be there too, I'm sure. I'm sure there will be plenty.
What do the developers of Halo Combat Evolved itself say of the remake? Jamie Griesmer is one of the key developers behind Halo. He was most involved with designing Halo's famous 30 seconds of fun gameplay loop and designed much of the campaign itself. Now creative director at Highwire Games, developer of 6 Days in Fallujah, Griesmer took to Twitter to deliver an early verdict on gameplay footage coming out of Microsoft's Halo Campaign Evolved reveal. He did not sound impressed. "You aren't supposed to be able to take the Warthog up to steamroll the hunters," Griesmer said. "I intentionally placed rocks in the way so you had to fight them on foot. When you can just smash the crates out of the way, it wrecks the encounters. But the worst part? They put trees in the landing area of the woohoo jump. Lame." Griesmer is criticizing a key part of the iconic campaign mission, the Silent Cartographer, the first encounter with 2 hunters. In the original Halo, the fight is meant to be played with Master Chief on foot, although players soon discovered it was possible to brute force a Warthog into the arena. In Microsoft's remake, players can freely take their Warthog up to the hunters and ride roughshod over them. It's fair to say Griesmer's tweet, viewed 2.3 million times, has sparked a reaction online, with some fans insisting the level layout change ruins the gameplay flow, and others saying this change and others like it will make the game more fun.
I will say, it is really cool to have the guy who literally can say, "I put rocks there." You know, like, it's not, I think they put rocks there to do this, this, and this. No, like, he's literally saying, I'm the one who put those rocks there in the original level, and I put those there to force you to do it on foot. Like, that's literally what we did and what I did, and that's why, like, he's the guy. He's the guy that can actually tell you why it is that way. It's pretty cool.
Griesmer later offered a potential explanation for the change. "On further analysis, I'm sure it's because the vehicles take damage, and so you're just as likely to destroy the hog as get it over the rocks. If anything, that makes it worse because none of the vehicle tricks are going to work anymore." Another aspect of Halo Campaign Evolved that Griesmer has taken issue with is the addition of an optional infinite sprint button. While you can choose not to
I will say, I think that the reason why this is a point of discussion is because it furthers the idea that the people working on Halo right now just don't understand it at the end of the day, you know? Is it that big of a deal that they moved rocks or that they put trees in one spot that they weren't before? No, like, I'm sure most people probably, if you didn't play the original, or even if you did play the original, like, I probably would not have noticed that that had been changed. I'm not that familiar. I mean, a lot of us can play a game or even play a game a few times, but level design changes like that in a remake, we might not actually notice unless it's pointed out to us. You know, because it's relatively small. It's not like they're totally, you know, deleting levels or redesigning them from the ground up. But I think the reason why it went viral and people talk about it so much is because it's kind of representative of the idea that they just don't understand Halo. They're just throwing stuff at the wall.
sprint, some are saying it destroys Combat Evolved's classic, considered gameplay pace. Griesmer said, "If the world isn't scaled to sprint, you'll be able to trivially skip encounters." After Bungie left Halo behind to develop Destiny, Microsoft continued the franchise with Halo 4, 5, and Infinite. Some would suggest that with these games, Microsoft has struggled to recreate the Bungie magic. Certainly, Bungie's Halo games are more fondly remembered than Microsoft's, but why has Microsoft struggled so? Griesmer says, "It's not the early 2000s anymore. Halo is of its time, maybe more than any other game franchise. So they are constantly trying to either take Halo out of 2001 and modernize it, which breaks it, or take players back to 2001 with nostalgia, which is impossible."
And I think that that is exactly right. Halo, like a lot of games of that era, I mean, whenever we talk about this era, I always want to bring up I always want to bring up Red Faction, which was like the game I played years and years later, but of that era that I love. And they are very much games of their time. They're built around that time, not just in terms of like control schemes and then, presentation with the narrative or graphics or whatever, but also just literally in game layout and design. They worked in 2000 or in 2001 and they were groundbreaking for that time. But by modern standards, fighting through waves of enemies in tight corridors is just not considered that remarkable anymore. And so to make it modernized, you have to, as he said, take it out of 2001 and modernize it. It just kind of breaks it, because Halo is not Uncharted. Halo is not Doom. Halo is not a game like that. It was built for its time. And so you just end up with this kind of dysfunction where it's not really clear what it is or what it's trying to be, because the devs don't really know what it is or trying to be, because sometimes they're just trying to throw it back into an old school design philosophy, which people play and find outdated, or they try to modernize it and then it doesn't really feel like Halo anymore. It's not an easy position to be in, absolutely, but it's just how it is. I mean, that's just how it's going to be. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think the remake looks interesting. I'm mainly worried about performance. Being an Unreal Engine game, I'm sure it's going to run like absolute donkey ass, but we'll see what that ends up like in a year or so when it launches, but we'll see. I'll just go play the Master Chief Collection. Probably. Yeah, no, that's probably a safe bet. Probably a safe bet. That's a good way to do it, I think.
Campaign Evolved is great for someone like me. I'm 48, but gaming should be about making your own memories, not experiencing your dad's member berries. Move the narrative forward, always.
Yeah, I think it's one of the like kind of sad things about the current craze of remakes and remasters and everything, is that it's this kind of hopeless feeling where it's like all these companies they've stopped really pushing to create these brand new experiences to be the game that people are nostalgic for in 20 years. And instead, they're just remaking and remaking and remastering and remaking. And they'll still work on other stuff at the same time, but instead of all of their resources going there towards that new thing, they spend a lot of it on this attempt at capitalizing on nostalgia. And it's kind of frustrating, because even now it's like I look back on something like Uncharted 4 with nostalgic love and appreciation, which is weird to say because it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but it was almost 10 years ago. Next year it'll be 10 years. And after that, we got The Last of Us Part 2, but we also got The Last of Us Part 1 remastered, re-released. We got The Last of Us Part 2 remastered and re-released. We got the Ultimate Collection of those games remastered and re-released. And it's just kind of like, maybe it's because we're getting all of these remasters in between that it makes them feel like the remasters feel so corporate and soulless. I don't know. But it does feel frustrating that there's such a focus on capitalizing on nostalgia instead of just creating new things. And they would say they're still creating new things, but I don't think you realize that you feel nostalgic about something until it's at that point, until it's been like 10 years and you look back and you're like, oh yeah, I loved that thing. In the moment, to you, it's just like a good game or a solid game. You don't realize that it's on that level.